following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Here's what's cooking on tonight's Sports Stove podcast. We're talking NFL with the NFC and AFC South division previews. That's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast.
From Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up Podcast Network, you're listening to the Sports Stove podcast with your host, Vince Stover.
Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up to me?
Welcome into an all-new edition on a special night of the Sports Stove podcast presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Go to righteousfelon.com and use the promo code STOVE15 at checkout. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. And typically on a Monday night, we're doing local hour stuff. The EKU football team opened camp last week and are pretty busy. And so we decided to give a week off of the EKU coverage. And we needed to get in an extra episode anyhow, because later on this week, I'm going to be preoccupied. Could not have a show later this week. So tonight, we're here. We're talking NFL. I'm your host, Vince Stover, joined as I am most Wednesday nights by my dad, Dale Stover. Hey, Dad. How you doing?
Good. It's good. It's exciting to be here on Monday night. I kind of wondered if maybe the Mannings would be joining us, but I guess not. So,
yeah, we reached out. Got a hard no from the Mannings. Kidding, of course. We did not reach out to the Mannings. But the only thing better than two Mannings is two Stovers. So we'll give it to you here on a Monday night.
That's
it. And what better thing to talk about than football on a Monday night as well. So let's dive into it. We're looking at the NFC and AFC South. We've already covered the North and the East divisions. You can go back wherever you listen to podcasts, the Sports Stove podcast, and catch those episodes. Or, of course, you can also click on YouTube and see the episodes as well. We're going to get things kicked off tonight, though, with the AFC South. It's a fun division. You know, the AFC North is the best division. But the AFC South is maybe one of the more intriguing divisions that are out there, just based off of the talent and the young quarterbacks and things like that here in the division. So we're going to start off with Houston. We're going to go through the team's ceiling, their win total, and then we're going to go through ratings 1 through 5 of their coaches, quarterbacks, running back, pass catchers, O-line, front seven, and DBs. As we've done with the past divisions as well. So, Dad, the Houston Texans are up. What do you see as the ceiling for the Houston Texans this year?
With them, I think it'll be a deep playoff run. I think they can win the division, and I think maybe they can move on in the playoffs. Not guaranteed for sure, but that's where I'll put them.
Yeah, I did the same thing, deep playoff run. I think that this team, I've seen it all over the spectrum, really. Some people, saying Super Bowl, other people saying, they're gonna tank this year, all kinds of different things. But I'm with you, deep run in the playoffs. Their win total, it's the highest in the division, but it's only at 9.5 games. So over or under 9.5 games for Houston.
I'll go over. I think they should probably get to 10. But like you said, this is going to be a real interesting division. And it's going to be wide open, and I don't know that any one team is going to dominate the division game. So, be interesting there. But I'll think they can at least get 10 or more, maybe 11. So I'll go over.
Yeah, I mean, if you think they're going to win the division, you have to go over. They can't win the division. Well, they could, but I don't think they will at 9.5 or 9 games. You look at these other teams in the division. The Colts, they could surprise people if Anthony Richardson stays healthy. The Jaguars, they've kind of been underperforming as well. The Titans, I don't think they're there yet. So for me, I got to go over with Houston because I think they're the safest bet in this division right now as well. Let's see here. Houston's coach is DeMeco Ryans. He's got Bobby Slowick, Matt Burke, and Frank Ross on the staff as well. How do you rank DeMeco Ryans, though, on a scale of 1 to 5?
Based off how well he did last year and turned stuff around, I'll give him a 4, maybe a little high, but again, I think he's going to be a very good coach.
I've been pretty stingent on my coach rankings. I went 3.5. I really like DeMeco Ryans. I want to see another year. I think he could be one of the top coaches in the league if he can, do something similar to what he did last year and win the division. I'd put him right there as well. I went just a little bit below that though, with a 3.5 to start things off this year for him. Quarterback situation, of course, C.J. Stroud is the starter. In the quarterback room, you got Davis Mills and Case Keenum. Oh, and by the way, Tim Boyle, EKU quarterback Tim Boyle. Don't think he'll make the team, but he's there currently. Nonetheless, quarterback at Houston, C.J. Stroud, scale of 1 to 5.
Yeah, I'll give him a 4. I could have given him a higher one, but again, this is his second year, so we'll see how he does this year. But he did great last year, and I like him. So, but I'll give him a 4.
Yeah, I gave him a 4 also, and I've got Joe Burrow at a 4.5. I've got Josh Allen at a 5, and then I'll have a future quarterback in the AFC West that will be ranked pretty high as well. So 4 for me is a high ranking for a quarterback, and I really like C.J. Stroud, like what he did last year, and like the weapons they put around him this year. I think that'll just make him better. So I've got him at a solid 4 also. In the running back room, they bring in Joe Mixon from Cincinnati. Dameon Pierce is still there as well. How do you feel about the running back situation in Houston?
I give them a 3. Again, I like Mixon, and I think he will help. But, we'll see where that goes. I probably could have went a hair higher, but I'll give them a 3 on the running backs.
Yeah, I went 3.5. Dameon Pierce has been okay. Need him to be better. I do like Joe Mixon. He has injury history as well. So I'll see. We saw Cam Akers show up as well in the Hall of Fame game. And, if he's healthy, which he's had 2 ACL injuries, that adds to the room for sure. But I went 3.5 for the Texans running back room. Pass catchers is pretty well stacked. Nico Collins and Tank Dell both had great years last year. Stephon Diggs comes over from Buffalo. They still have the 2022 second-round pick, John Mechie, who kindly got to play last year. Robert Woods is still there. Noah Brown had some moments as well. And the tight end room is Dalton Schultz, Brevin Jordan, and they drafted Cade Stover. How do you have the pass catchers in Houston?
Yeah, like you said, they're pretty stacked. So when you look at that, I went 4.5 on them there. I mean, they're just solid everywhere, and they've got lots of guys, to rotate in. But, 2 guys that did good last year, then you add Stephon Diggs. If he comes back, which age-wise or physically, I don't think there's any problem. So I'm sure he's excited to be there. So I went 4.5.
Yeah, I did too. I'm right there with you. I think it's a loaded talent room. Young still for sure, but talented. Really, really talented. O-line for Houston, Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, Juice Struggs, Shaq Mason, Titus Howard, second-round draft pick this year, Blake Fisher as well is there. How do you go O-line? I got him a 3.5 here for this O-line in Houston.
Well, I give him 2.5, kind of just based on things that I read or whatever. I don't know a lot about them. Again, they'll need a good line. Stroud will, maybe they'll develop well. But I based on rankings I saw, I put them at 2.5.
That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like they got 3 really solid guys. They've got, all these guys that are on there were high draft picks as well. So I actually like this line, but I did give them a 3.5. Front 7 for Houston, led by Will Anderson Jr., Mario Edwards, Falanuso Fatukasi. Daniel Hunter comes over from Minnesota. That's a big addition. Christian Harris, Aziz Al-Shaher. Henry Toto, by the way. Watch out for him. Breakout season this year. Derek Barnett comes over from Philadelphia. Also, I gave this group a 3, which is kind of low, but you're going to have to prove something to me. How do you feel about this Texans front seven?
Yeah, that's right. Where I had them was a 3 also. Again, I think they've got potential to be better, but I think that's a solid score looking at it now preseason.
Yeah, I think this is where I would change my ranking for the coach if the defense comes out and plays just incredible as well. DBs for Houston, pretty young group. Derek Stingley Jr., Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie, Kamari Lassiter comes in as a second-round pick. Desmond King is here as well. Jeff Okudah has joined the team. Third-round draft pick, Kalen Bullock is here also. CJ Henderson is here. They've got a pretty deep room. I gave them a 4. How did you rank the DBs?
I gave them a 3 also. Again, they probably could have been a little higher than that, but we'll just see where Houston goes. I think they're a solid defense, but I gave them a 3.
Yeah, I think if the front 7 does their job, these DBs look really, really good. There's a lot of talent back here for sure. All right, let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts. Last year, quarterback injury issues. But what do you think is the ceiling for Indianapolis this year?
I think it'd be the playoffs. I think they could, maybe even win the division or be a wild card. So I'd put them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I said make the playoffs also. I think, man, I wanted to do more than that. Honestly, like a deep run or something. I really think if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, this team is really, really good. But I also put make playoffs, young quarterback. Even if they make the playoffs, they may not go very far. So nonetheless, I'm there with you also. The win total at 8.5. Where do you sit with that one?
8.5. Yeah, I'll go over. I think they can get to 9 at least on that. So I'll go over 8.5.
I'm going to run out of room with some of these divisions, Dad. I'm going to go over also. Back in the day when there was only 16 games, 8-8, I could see, but I don't necessarily see 8-9. So I see it more as a 9-8 team. So I'm going to go over also. Head football coach is Shane Steichen. Jim Bob Cooter is the OC. Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator, and Brian Mason, special teams. How do you rank Shane Steichen on your scale for coaches?
Well, he came in, I think, and did all right. So I'll give him a 3.5. We'll see how he develops. So,
okay, yeah, I went 3 on him. He's going to have to be smart enough to coach Anthony Richardson to stay healthy. so I gave him a 3. Quarterback Anthony Richardson. I've already talked a lot about him. Lots of injury issues. Incredibly talented. They bring in Joe Flacco to back him up. I do not like that move. But Anthony Richardson, I like when he's healthy. I gave him a 3.5. Where do you put him?
Yeah, I gave him a 3.5 also. I think he has a lot of potential there. But again, we got to see him play a full season, see if he can play a full season and how he does there. So 3.5 was right where I was.
All right, running backs, Jonathan Taylor. I think he's one of the best in the league. Trey Sermon is there to back him up. Tyler Goodson is there. Evan Hull as well, names that most people won't know. I love Jonathan Taylor. I gave him a 4 because I just think he's one of the best in the league.
Yeah, well, I gave him a 5 because I think he is one of the best in the league. So I agree with that. If he stays healthy, he's a game changer right by himself. And like you said, if the coach can coach these guys and use the quarterback along with that running game, they could be very tough.
All right, very good. Pass catchers, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs are your main receivers. They drafted Adonai Mitchell in the 2nd round this year. They also got a 5th-round draft pick also. Tight ends, Jelani Woods, Kylan Granson, Mo Ali Cox. I don't really like the tight ends a ton here in Indianapolis. And the pass catchers to me they're good. I need to see more consistency out of them. I gave them a 3.5. How about you?
Yeah, I gave him a 3.5 too. I really like Pittman. He has really turned out to be good. And I went 3.5.
The O-line is Bernard Raymond, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Will Freeze, and Braden Smith. They spent a 3rd-rounder and a 4th-rounder on offensive line this year also. I went 3.5 with the O-line. How about you?
Yeah, I went 4 with the O-line. I think they've improved. And again, I think there'd be a lot of emphasis there, and that'll be a big thing again with the running game and their quarterback.
Yeah, I just with Kelly and Nelson getting a little bit older, that's why I kind of went down a little bit on them. Front 7, they got Kwity Paye, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, Samson Ubukum, EJ Speed, Zaire Franklin. Let's see here. They spent a 1st-round draft pick this year on Laiatu Latu, which I think was a bad choice, but we'll see on that. I still gave these guys a 3.5 also. What about you?
Yeah, I gave them a 4. The Indies had a good defense, and I think with Buckner in there and some of them, so I went 4.
Yeah, I mean, if Latu turns out to be phenomenal, then that's what they'll be. I'm scared to death about his health. DBs, though, they got Juju Brents, Julian Blackman, Ronnie Harrison, Jalen Jones, Kenny Moore. They spent a 5th and 6th round picks on cornerbacks this year also. But I don't see this DB being great, DB room being great. I went 3 with them.
Yeah, I went 2.5 with them because, again, I don't think they're proven yet. So
fair enough. All right, let's go on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. To me, one of the more disappointing teams last year. High expectations, and they really just didn't meet them. They kind of just, had problems. They couldn't finish. But where do you put the Jaguars' ceiling at this year?
I'm a little bigger on Jaguars. I think they can come back, but so I'll say they could be a playoff team. Playoff would be their ceiling. They need to be, or there's going to have to be changes in Jacksonville. So we'll see.
So here I am talking negative about the Jaguars. I put them as a deep run in the playoffs, Dad. I mean, they've got the talent. That's where they should be. And so that's where I put their ceiling at. Their win total's 8.5. So where do you go with that?
Like you said, that we keep putting all these guys in the same division with a lot of wins. But I would think they, again, if they're going to get the playoffs and stuff, they need to be over 8.5. So I'll go over that.
Yeah, I got to go over also. I mean, I'm going to miss on some of these, but I just don't feel comfortable going under 8 wins on a team that should be over 8 wins. Coach is Doug Peterson. He's got Press Taylor as the offense coordinator, Ryan Nielsen as the DC, Heath Farrell as the special teams coordinator. Listen, Doug Peterson has a lot of talent. He's done some good things as a coach. We like him from his old days as a player in Green Bay. But how do you rank him as a coach?
Well, I mean, again, I like Peterson, and again, maybe he's not going to do well. Of course, he's won a Super Bowl, so I'll give him a 3.5.
All right, I'm right there with you. That's where I put him too. You win a Super Bowl, you got to be good. End of the day. Quarterback is Trevor Lawrence. They bring over Mac Jones as well. CJ Beathard's still there too. What do you do with the quarterback here when you're looking at ranking them on a scale of 1 to 5?
I really like Trevor Lawrence, but he's had his ups and downs. I'll still give him a 3.5.
I went 3 with Trevor Lawrence, and it would not surprise me if he all of a sudden has a great season. He's a talented kid, but at some point he's got to turn it on. And so I went 3 for Trevor Lawrence this year. Running back room, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby is there also. Dearness Johnson has had some time. 5th-round draft pick, Keelan Robinson there as well. Dad, I went low with them here too. I went 3 for the running backs.
I went 3.5 again with Etienne. I think he's maybe enough to warrant that.
Yeah, I guess if I include his pass catching in that ranking, I would bump him up. But I didn't really do that here. Again, I just need more consistency out of these guys. The wide receiver room is Gabe Davis, 1st-round draft pick Brian Thomas, and Christian Kirk. They also have Devin Duvernay from Baltimore comes in as well. Tight end room, Evan Ingram and Luke Farrell there also. Man, Dad, I don't see who the guy is in this room. So I went 3 for the pass catchers here also.
Yeah, I went with 3 also. Again, I think with Kirk and the tight end, you're in good shape, but I'm not sure where they're going to be. They're going to need somebody to step up and be a surprise there somewhere. So
yeah, and I like Gabe Davis as a 2 or a 3. I like Brian Thomas as potentially a 2 or a 3. I like Christian Kirk as a 2 or a 3. I don't like any of those guys as a 1, though, on my team. Offensive line, Cam Robinson at left tackle, Ezra Cleveland at left guard, Mitch Morse at center, Brandon Scharf at right guard, and Anton Harrison, the 1st-round pick from last year, over at right tackle. They spent a 4th-round pick on Javon Foster. And then last year, a couple years ago, they had 3rd-rounder Luke Fortner who can fight for playing time and has started for them in the past. They also have a 2021 second rounder and Walker Little on this team. How do you rank the O-line for the Jaguars?
I gave them a 2.5. They maybe should have been a little higher than that, but that's where I'm at.
Man, I gave them a 4. They brought in some veterans. They've got the whole inside of the line is veterans, free agents. Then you bring in you got Cam Robinson and Harrison on the bookends, plus some depth. I gave them a 4. I like this O-line actually in Jacksonville a lot. If the O-line's bad, this team's there's no way they hit 8 wins. Front 7, Dad, Trevon Walker, the first round pick in 22. They bring over Roy Robertson Harris. Eric Armstead's here. Josh Hines Allen, formerly Josh Allen, there as well. They got some young linebackers like Devin Lloyd on the team also. Second round draft pick Mason Smith at D tackle also. I went 3.5 for the front 7. How do you feel about them?
Yeah, I went 3 with them. Again, I think they've got a decent front line, so I went with 3, just a little lower.
Yeah, I love Josh Allen. I like him a lot. DBs are Ronald Darby, Antonio Johnson, Andre Sisco, Tyson Campbell, and Darnell Savage comes over from Green Bay. They also spent a third-round draft pick this year on Jerry and Jones. How do you like the DBs in Jacksonville?
Well, we know about Darnell Savage, so anyhow, I gave them a 2.
Holy smokes. Okay, I gave him a 4.
Wow.
I actually like this. This defense, Dad, a lot in Jacksonville. Again, the veteran and Darby, Darnell Savage, they've got him slated in to play that nickel back right now. So the safeties are Sisco and Johnson. I think Savage fits that role well. And I like Tyson Campbell too. So I like the defense for Jacksonville. Clearly a lot better than you do for sure. All right, let's get to the Tennessee Titans. Just a reminder, I'm working on with as well as a team from Belly Up Sports, working on a documentary on Tennessee Titans safety Matthew Jackson. So be on the lookout for that. But Dad, what do you see as the ceiling for the Titans this year?
I gave them a ceiling of 8 wins. I think that may be a little high, but I think, they could be improved. Again, this division, if they end up getting beat by everybody in the division, then that won't happen. But I thought the ceiling could be 8 wins.
Yeah, that's what I put them at too. I just think they're at least a year away, although they've got a lot of talent. I don't trust the quarterback. So I put them at 8 wins also. Their win total is at 6.5. I mean, over under 6.5.
Yeah, I'll go over 6.5. Hopefully they can get to 7. We'll see.
Oh man, everything that I see tells me I should go over 6.5, Dad, but I'm going to go under. I think this is a team that could have a struggling year, and they're drafting a quarterback next season. So I'm going to go under 6.5 wins, although I would not be surprised if they go over at the same time. Let's see here. Their coach is the former Cincinnati OC, Brian Callahan. He brings over Nick Holtz, Denard Wilson, and Colt Anderson with them. I know in talking with Matthew Jackson, he loves Denard Wilson, loves the system he's bringing in, likes the energy around the defense, which is great. But Brian Callahan's an offensive guy. How do you rank him as a head coach?
Again, I live here in Bengal country a little bit, and, everybody was real high on him. So I'll give him a chance at, a new coach, you just don't know what they're going to do. So I'll put him at a 3, but we'll just see how he does.
Yeah, I went 2.5 for the new coaches this year. You got to show me. Let's go to quarterback. Will Levis, starting quarterback. Mason Rudolph, the backup from Pittsburgh. How do you go quarterback ranking here?
I gave him 2.5. Again, I don't know where that's going to shake out at. I don't know if they have, a starting quarterback, so we'll see.
Yeah, you're very kind. I gave him a 2. Fun personality, athlete. I just don't see him being a lasting NFL quarterback. Running back situation, they go with Tony Pollard this year out of Dallas. Tyjae Spears is back. He had some moments last year. Hassan Haskins there as well. I go 2.5 for the running back room. How about you?
Let's see here. We had I went with 3 just because Pollard, should help a little bit, but they may struggle on that. We'll just see how they use running backs because it's a different coaching system now.
Yeah, I think it's a weak point for him. Pass catchers, DeAndre Hopkins, who's injured at the moment. Calvin Ridley comes over. Tyler Boyd comes over as well. Treylon Burks is their first-round pick from 22. Also, tight ends, Chikosium Okonkwo and Josh Weil. I really don't like the tight end situation in in Tennessee. I like these receivers, Dad. I just don't trust a lot of it. I went 3.5 just out of respect for the veterans. But I got to tell you, I don't believe in this team much at all. So how do you feel about the pass catchers?
Yeah, with Hopkins getting hurt, it made it a little tough, but 3.5 would be about where I put them. I mean, in some ways you look at them on paper, they could be a lot better, but they're guys that, all these guys are going to have to prove a little bit. Ridley, if he gets back to where he was. Now, Tyler Boyd, I think, is good, but again, he's not the number one. So, we'll see where they go.
You want to be in a situation where your quarterback makes your receivers look good. And the Titans are in a situation where they need their receivers to make their quarterback look good. So we're going to learn a lot about Tyler Boyd and Calvin Ridley this year. We know DeAndre Hopkins in his prime would do that, but he's not in his prime. So we'll see about that. Offensive line, they bring in J.C. Latham in the first round this year. Last year, they brought in Peter Skoronski in the first round. They have from Denver, Lloyd Cushenberry, Sahik Charles at guard, and Nicholas Petit Frere at the right tackle position. Dad, I gave these guys a 3, and I think that's being kind. How did you rank the O-line?
Yeah, I think that is being kind. I gave them a 2. I like Skoronski. I think they could develop, but they're going to have to develop. So we'll see where that goes. And again, if the quarterback situation is unstable, that makes it a little tough too. So
yeah, I think the left side looks good with Latham and Skoronski. I just don't like the veterans on this team.
Gotcha. I gave him a 2. So
all right, front 7 on defense: Sebastian Joseph Day, the controversial second-round pick of Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, who's incredibly good, Harold Landry's there, Jack Gibbons, Kenneth Murray, and Rashad Weaver round out the starters. They have EKU product TK McClendon on the D-line also, and a 4th-round draft pick on linebacker Cedric Gray this year. How do you feel about the D-line or the front 7 for Tennessee?
Overall, I gave them a 2.5. Again, I think they're going to have to develop a little bit there. So
I like their front 4. I gave them a 3.5. Their linebackers, I think there's room to improve, but I think the D-line is actually pretty solid. Defensive backs. Let's see here. We've got Chidobe Awuzie, Amani Cooper, Quandre Diggs just signed, L'Jarius Sneed, Roger McCreary. Then you got Jamal Adams that comes over from Seattle. You've got the aforementioned Matthew Jackson as well. He'll see more time on the special teams unit than defense. Caleb Farley is there also. So how do you feel about the DBs in Tennessee?
I gave them a 3. Again, I think, they could be good bringing those guys in from Seattle. We'll see how they do.
Yeah, I went 3.5. I think that there's some interesting veterans on this team, a lot of veterans back there, which I think is going to be a really good thing for the Tennessee defense. Their defense has been really solid. I know it's a new coach. The defense has been really solid here as of late as well. All right, let's head over to the NFC South now, and we'll start with the Atlanta Falcons. The ceiling for the Atlanta Falcons this year is?
Playoffs. Hopefully they'll make the playoffs. We'll see. They do have a new coach, but we'll go from there. This division might be one of the weaker ones. We'll see how this comes out at the end of the year.
Well, they were last year. I mean, they were bad last year. Falcons, I bet, make the playoffs as well. I think that they probably should win the division. The question is will they win the division? So I bet make the playoffs. Their win total is 9.5. I don't believe anybody hit nine wins in this division last year. But how do you feel about the Falcons 9.5?
I'll go under. I think they can get to 9, but I don't know that they'll get 10. We'll just see.
I'm going to go over, and I will say 10 wins. This whole division is going to be hard to pick. So somebody's got to win it. Can they win it at 9 wins? Sure, but I'm going to say over. Coach is Raheem Morris. He brings in Zach Robinson, Jimmy Lake, and Marquise Williams to round out his staff. How do you give Raheem Morris a ranking?
Again, with new coaches, I've kind of gone 3, and so we'll go on that and see how he does.
Yeah, I went 2.5 with him. See if the second time around is better for him. What has he learned, and see how it goes. But I'm going to start him at 2.5 for me. Quarterback Kirk Cousins. Of course, they drafted Michael Penix in the first round as well. Obviously, if Kirk Cousins is healthy, I think we know what to expect from him. How do you rank the quarterback in Atlanta?
Yeah, if he's healthy, I gave them a 4. That might be a little high. Again, I think Penix is in a good situation, and we'll see how that goes.
I went 3.5. Kirk Cousins coming off the injury. Penix a rookie. Either way, I think that's still kind. 3.5. Running back Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier is there also. Let's see, they've got a 6th round draft pick also. We know that there's a lot of upside to Bijan Robinson, but how do you rank him right now?
Yeah, I really like Bijan Robinson, but I gave the running backs a 4.
All right, I went 3.5. I'm interested to see how they do this year. And again, I think that's low, but I got to see it. I got to see something out of them. Pass catchers, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore comes over as well. They've got Ray McLeod. They're also tight ends, Kyle Pitts and Charlie Warner. Dad, I gave them a 4, and it kind of goes against how I've been ranking people, where I say you got to show me something. I feel like they're going to be put in an opportunity to succeed now. So I went with a 4, Pitts, London, and Moore I really like.
Yeah, I gave them a 4 also, and that is the 3 guys that I like also. London and Pitts have both underachieved a little bit, but again, it could have been the system and quarterback and a lot of things there. So if Cousins is healthy, he'll really fit in with that, no doubt about it. I think Pitts could have the year everybody's expected them to have.
The O-line, Jake Matthews, he was drafted in 2014. He's getting up there now. Matthew Bergeron, Drew Dahlman, Chris Lindstrom, and Caleb McGarry, the last 2 guys, both first-round picks in 2019. How do you see the O-line in Atlanta?
I think they should have a good O-line. I give them a 3.5.
I gave them a 3.5 also. Front 7 on defense, Zach Harrison, David Onyemata, Grady Jarrett, James Smith-Williams, Caden Ellis, Troy Anderson, and Lorenzo Carter. Comes over from New York. They spent a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round pick on the defensive line this year, a 5th-round pick at linebacker. Dad, I gave these guys a 2.5. How do you see the Atlanta front 7?
Yeah, 2.5 is where I put them too, because again, I think they're going to have to show us they can play. They're going to need it. If they have a good defense, they can win this division. But if they don't, then it's going to be, it'll be tough.
Yeah. Yeah, they've put so much energy into the offense that I would assume they'll start looking at the defense more next year. Defensive backs, Mike Hughes, Richie Grant, Jesse Bates, who I really, really like, AJ Terrell, D. Alford. Let's see here. Nobody really to speak of back behind them, I guess. Kevin King's back there. Micah Abernathy's back there. Yeah, I don't know. I gave these guys a 3.5 though, because they do have. I really like the safety situation in Atlanta, and they got some guys that have been around now at cornerback too. So, where do you give the DBs?
I was a little lower than that. I gave them 2.5. Again, we'll see how that develops. So,
sure, yeah. I wouldn't fight you too hard on that. All right, let's go to Carolina. A really intriguing team, I think, this year. New coach. The quarterback obviously underachieved last year, but I think we can all agree he was not put in a position to succeed last year. What do you see as the ceiling for the Panthers this year?
I put them at 6 wins. I think that would even be positive from there. Maybe they'll do better than that. This might be a new coach that comes in, kind of like the Detroit guy, and Houston that really energizes them. But it's going to take that for sure.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in on the Panthers this year. I put their ceiling at 8 wins. I would be a little surprised if they got there, but because they could be a first overall pick again. But I just feel like this is a team that might, again, weak division, might surprise some people this year and win a few more than expected. So I'm gonna go a little higher on that than you. Their win total is set at 5.5, over or under 5.5.
Let's see. We'll go over 5.5.
Okay. Yeah, I did too. I think 6-7 wins is where they should be. Let's see. They've got a new coach, David Canales. He comes over from Tampa. He's got Brad Idzik with him at the offensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero at defensive coordinator, who people are incredibly high on, and Tracy Smith at special teams. What do you rank the first-time head coach?
Yeah, as I read about their coaching staff, I just kind of got a feeling that they may come in and there's nothing to lose, not high expectations. I think they might do well. So again, being a new coach, I gave him a 3.
Yeah, I went 2.5 for the new coaches, so that's where I've got him at right now too. Quarterback situation: Bryce Young, again, didn't have a great year last year, but I blame more situation than him. Andy Dalton's the backup. They also bring in Jack Plummer as an undrafted free agent. I gave him a 3, Dad. What do you give the quarterback in Carolina?
I'm surprised you did that, but yes, that's where I put him too. I think he could, again, if a coach puts him in the right situation, and he definitely can play. So we'll see.
Yeah, and the history will tell you that the coach will put him in the right situation as well. Running back room: Chuba Hubbard, rookie Jonathan Brooks, who is injured right now, and Miles Sanders still there also. Dad, I don't like this running back room. If Jonathan Brooks was healthy, I'd like him a little bit more. I went 2.5 here. What about you?
Yeah, I went 2, but I agree. If Brooks gets healthy, then I think that could be the difference. And that's probably something they would need from there. Chuba Hubbard, it can be solid at times, but it's not going to be the guy that's going to carry your team.
Right. Pass catchers: Deontay Johnson comes over from Pittsburgh. Xavier Legette gets drafted in the first round. Adam Thielen was there last year also. But they got some young guys: Terrence Marshall Jr. and Jonathan Mingo still there also. Tight end Ian Thomas has been serviceable, and then Tommy Tremble back behind him. They have a rookie 4th-round tight end, and Jatavian Sanders as well. I actually like him. We'll see if he gets to play, though, this year. I went 3 for the pass catchers. How about you?
I went 2.5, but 3 might not be wrong. Again, I think the guy from Pittsburgh can definitely help them a lot. Thielen, if he's still got things left, he's a veteran that can really help. From there, Mingo was supposed to be good coming in, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think Johnson and Legette are the 2 guys you look at here. Thielen is able to play a role, and I don't know. I kind of like this group. Offensive line is Ikem Ekwonu from 2022 first-round pick. Damian Lewis comes over from Seattle. Austin Corbett from the Rams. Robert Hunt from Miami. And then the 2017 second-round pick, Taylor Morton, still there also. I went 3.5 with this O-line, and that might be generous. Where do you put them?
Yeah, I went 2.5. Hopefully they'll be better than that, but just based on who they are and what they've done, that's where I went.
All right. Front 7 on defense: Derek Brown, first-round pick in 2020. Shai Tuttle comes over from New Orleans. Ashawn Robinson. Jadeveon Clowney signs. Shaq Thompson comes over. Josie Jewell and DJ Wonham there also. 3rd-round draft pick Trevin Wallace, the linebacker, was brought in this draft also. How do you rank the front 7 for Carolina?
Gave them a 2.5.
Okay. Wow. All right. They took a hit this year by losing Burns. I don't know. There's something about this team though I kind of like. Defensive backs. J.C. Horn is very good. Xavier Woods comes over from Minnesota. Jordan Fuller comes over from the Rams. Dane Jackson from Buffalo and Troy Hill from the Rams also. Let's see here. I'm looking to see no one else really standing out back past that at the moment. I went 3.5 for the DBs. How do you feel about Carolina's defensive backfield?
Again, they've got some veterans that have come over, so I'll give them a 3.
Okay. All right. We'll see how improved Carolina is this year. Let's go down to New Orleans. What is the ceiling for the Saints this
year? The ceiling may be the roof of the Superdome, but we will see. I think they could struggle a little bit, but I'll give them 6 wins.
Okay, I went 8 wins with this team. I'm intrigued to hear some thoughts on this. Win total is 7.5. Sounds like you're going under 7.5.
Yes, I'll go under that. So I think they're going to need a coaching change, and usually when that happens, the season doesn't go real well.
Man, I was thinking you were going to like the Saints this year, Dad. It's going to take all the fun out of this. Coaching ranking, they've got Dennis Allen as the head coach. Clint Kubiak, Joe Woods, and Darren Rizzi make up the staff. Dad, I gave Dennis Allen a 2, my lowest rating of any coach I've rated. I agree with you. I think they're going to need a new one at the end of the year. What do you rank Dennis Allen?
Yeah, 2 is where I gave him.
All right. Quarterback Derek Carr. They've got Spencer Rattler. They drafted in the 5th round. Jake Hayner there, of course, as well. I went 2.5, and I like Derek Carr, but I'm kind of getting off the Derek Carr trade. I rank him 2.5. How about you?
Yeah, I like Derek Carr, so I gave him a 3, but that could be a little high. I think he can play up to that potential, but if the Saints are going to be a better team this year, he's going to have to really play.
Running backs, Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams there as well. I went 3 with these guys. Kamara's just not what he used to be, and so that's why I went 3 for them. How about you?
I went 3.5, again, thinking Kamara will be healthy maybe if he is, and I think Williams is a very good backup.
Okay. Pass catchers, Chris Olave, I do like him. A.T. Perry, Rashid Shaheed, EQ St. Brown, Cedric Wilson, 5th-round pick Bub Means, tight end Jawan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill is something. We don't know what he is. I really don't like this group, Dad. Outside of Chris Olave, I went 2.5. What about you?
Yeah, I went 3 with them. Again, Olave is the main guy. Again, you got Cedric Wilson, some people that are serviceable, but I went with 3.
On the O-line, Tylese Fuaga, the 1st-round pick. Lucas Patrick, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Trevor Penning round out the O-line. I gave him a 3. I'm not sure that I love this O-line, though.
Yeah, I'll go 2.5 with them. I don't think they're quite there yet. Of course, Penning is supposed to be good, and we'll just see how they develop.
All right. Front 7, Carl Granderson, Kalen Saunders, Nathan Shepard, Cameron Jordan, P. Warner, Demario Davis. Gracious, he's old. Willie Gay there also. Let's see here. They spent some late-round draft picks on this front 7 as well. Chase Young is technically on this team also. I do like him, so I gave them a 3 with the potential that they have. But, man, again, not a whole lot stands out here.
Yeah, I went with 2.5. I don't know. The Saints have had a good defense in the past, but again, I don't know that they've got the horses this time.
All right, the DBs, Paulson Adebo, Tyrann Mathieu, Jordan Howden, Marshawn Lattimore, Alante Taylor. They spent a 2nd-round draft pick on Kool-Aid McKinstry. I went 3.5 on this one. Some of these guys are old, but I like some of these guys too.
Yeah, I went with 3, but again, I think some of these guys that that they could play, they could do all right. They've got some veterans.
Okay, let's round it out today with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. New coaching staff, some new stuff going on, I guess, in Tampa. as a whole, and guys are getting older. So what do you have as the ceiling for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I got the playoffs as the ceiling for them. Again, I'm a little higher, as we've talked about players. I'm probably a little higher on Tampa Bay, maybe than you are, but like I said, they are getting older, so we'll see. But I think they should make the playoffs.
Well, we'll see which players you're higher on than me. I went over. I wouldn't make the playoffs over 7.5. I think they're an 8 to 9 win team and could get to 10 maybe as well. I don't know. I'm interested to see what they get to. So I went over 7.5. How about you?
Yeah, I'll go over 7.5 again. I think their potential. I think Atlanta's going to have to really play to win this division because I think Tampa may be in the spot.
Head coach is Todd Bowles. He's got a new OC in Liam Cohen. This year he comes over from Kentucky. Defensive coordinator, they split them up. Larry Foote and Casey Rogers. Special teams coordinator, Thomas McGahee. I gave Todd Bowles a 2.5, Dan. I haven't seen much out of him yet. So he's kind of in that Robert Saleh field for me as far as he's a great defensive coordinator. Is he a great head coach? That was the question.
Yeah, I gave him a 3. So, we will see. I think, they've got a good shot at the division, so we'll see.
All right. Quarterback Baker Mayfield. Listen, I was on the Baker train all last year. I tried to tell you people he was going to have a decent year. So many people fought me on that. And he had one of his better seasons yet. I like Baker Mayfield. They've got their backup in Kyle Trask. I'm not sure what he is yet. But I'm going to go 3 here for the quarterback position. What about you?
Yeah, I'll go 3 on Baker Mayfield too. And I do think it's interesting to see where Trask is going to be. Is he a guy that is going to be able to play, be the quarterback in the future? And maybe we'll see some of that this year.
No, we won't. Running back, Rashad White. Bucky Irving comes over in the 4th round. Chase Edmonds is here also. How do you rank the running backs?
Let's see. I gave them a 3. So
I did as
White
well.
should be good.
I did as well. All right, wide receivers. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin still around. Jalen McMillan came over in the 3rd round, which I think is a really good draft pick. Sterling Shepard comes in from the New York Giants as well. Tight end Cade Otton has been good. Coke Keft is behind him. How do you rank the pass catchers for Tampa?
Oh, I gave them a 4 because, again, I'm real big on Evans and Godwin, and I think they're still playing well. And like I said, the tight end may be good too. So that's where I'm at.
I went 3.5. I love the rookie McMillan. I like Mike Evans a lot. I just don't know if he can play a whole season. And Chris Godwin, he hasn't been consistent as of late either. So I went 3.5 for them. Offensive line, Dan, they got Tristan Wirfs, who they signed to a big deal. Ben Bradenson, Graham Barton, the rookie, 1st-round draft pick. Cody Mock and Luke Godeke. Let's see here. I guess that's pretty much it for that O-line. I went 4 with this O-line. I like the O-line. What about you?
Yeah, I'll go 3.5 at least on them. So I think, again, Wirfs has potential with especially getting that big contract. Barton could make a real difference there. So, they could have a real solid offensive line, and that'll make a big difference.
Okay, D-line. They got Logan Hall, the 2022 2nd-round pick. Vita Vea, the 18 1st-round pick. Kalijah Cansey, the 23 1st-round pick. Joe Tryon Shoyinka, the 21 1st-round pick. So the D-line, or those rush line, is lots of high draft picks. KJ Britt and Devontae David and Yaya Diaby round out the linebackers. They do have William Golston back there still as well. And a 2nd-round pick on Chris Braswell this year. I don't know, Dad. How do you feel about the front 7 in Tampa?
Well, they've got a lot of young guys, so I went 2.5. Maybe they'll way overachieve that, but we'll see.
Interesting. I went 3.5. So a little higher on them than you. The DBs, I've got Zion McCollum, Jordan Whitehead, Antoine Winfield, Jamel Dean, and Christian Ezian. Tyke Smith was drafted in the 3rd round this year. And I was thinking there was somebody else. I can't see him. Okay. DBs for Tampa. Where do you put them at?
I put them at a 3. Again, Winfield's really good, and so hopefully he can keep that unit together.
Yeah, I did a 3 also for the Tampa Bay DBs also. Yeah, I think this division is going to be intriguing. I think they're going to be, as a whole, I don't think they're going to be the worst division necessarily. I think that when you look at the AFC West, which we'll look at next week, the Broncos and the Raiders might be worse than any of these teams in this division. So, but they're also, as a whole, just the weakest. I mean, none of these teams scare too many people. So that being said, I think it's going to be intriguing to watch. Whereas the AFC South, to me, is going to be the most entertaining to watch, and the AFC North is going to be the best division in football this year. But a lot of fun things here in the AFC South. And again, we had the Hall of Fame game this week that got cut short, which everybody was fine with. Preseason continues here at the end of the week as well. And we're just inching ever so closely to this football season. So the closing thoughts on the AFC and NFC South tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think the South could be very entertaining. I do think the NFC South, could be one of the weaker divisions. I think they got they got new coaches there, so I think they could be, on the uptick a little bit. I'm just kind of intrigued about Carolina, whether they'll just really, really be struggling in the bottom, or if they'll surprise a few games and look better there. I got a good friend that's a Falcon fan. He's real positive. And again, they've got talent, so that one could be good. And I think Tampa's solid, but like you said, they're older, so we'll just see. If this division, if one or two teams can't kind of dominate it, then that'll make for an interesting time if they split, all their games there. It'd be kind of that way with the AFC South too. But those are going to be some really hot contested games there because, like I said, Jacksonville needs to come back, and Indianapolis and Houston have gotten better. Tennessee, I think, will take a little while to rebuild, but we'll see.
Very good. All right. Well, make sure you go check out Righteous Felon Jerky. If you haven't tried them out yet, you really need to. RighteousFelon.com. And if you use the code STOVE15, you're going to get 15% off your purchase. Try out that bootleg and barbecue. It's my favorite flavor they've got. I also like the Soul Survivor. There's several flavors I like actually over there. So check them out, righteousfelon.com. Use the code STOVE15. Follow us on social media at Sports Stove, Twitter and Instagram. We'll be fairly quiet the rest of the week, but we'll be back at it next week, next Sunday, with the Sports Stove Fantasy Baseball Show, next Monday with the Sports Stove Local Hour, and next Wednesday with the Sports Stove podcast as well. So thanks for tuning in on a special night of the Sports Stove podcast. And until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.